Welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and it's time for another Monday minisode.
Yeah. And we still haven't come up with
We still need a sound.
Yeah, we need some kind of a thing to drop the beat when we say Monday Mini. I'm envisioning like the monster truck, like Monday Mini.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's what I'm thinking. So I'll work on it. We'll see. But anyways, Monday Minis are where we get to talk about, one topic in a shorter amount of time. It's our we're focusing. We're like a laser beam just coming in, and we're just like, here's a topic that you need to know about. And we're not going to give all the fluff and all the other stuff and stories about our life and the things that we talk about, reselling news in our longer episodes. We're just going to focus. Here you go. 10 to 15 minutes. What are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about what to do in the lull.
Ooh, so your things are slow. Things are real slow, and we're going to give you the Monday Mini. When you probably, if things are slow, you can spend a couple hours listening to a podcast, but instead you're going to listen to 10 to 15 minutes, and we're going to tell you how to keep things from being too slow. So what's our first thing? What should we be doing when it's slow?
So if things are slow, it's probably not a good thing. But this is mid-July when we're dropping this Monday minisode.
Yeah, summer slowdown is a thing.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
Yeah,
it is a thing.
But just keep listening. And the reason being is either A, you're going to get more sales and things won't be slow, or you're just prepping for Q4, right? Or even Q3, right? Because here's the thing, you're better off having a lot more items in Q4 than not having them because, sales are slow and you're like, oh, I'm just not going to list anymore. Now it's up to you because we throw out a bunch of options here, what you should do in the lull. But I'm a big believer that either you're listing for the short-term gain or you're listing for the long-term gain, right? So either way, you want to make sure that you are still listing in the lull.
That's great. Yeah, it's a important thing to be thinking about, that how many times in our life where you think, man, I'm just too busy. I'm too busy to do this. I should do X, Y, and Z, but there's not enough time. Well, when you're in a lull and reselling, like that's the opportunity to get those things done. Mm-hmm. And listing is one of those things where, like you said, it's either one going to immediately bring you out of the lull because, hey, I had 500 items in my store. I started listing like crazy. My store is now at 800 and sales are rolling in and I'm busy again. Or that's not going to happen, but you utilize the time you have now. And like you said, there's going to come that time where those things are going to sell. Eventually, mm-hmm. They're going to sell. So you're playing either the short game or the long game, but it's win-win. I don't think anybody at the end of their reselling journey is going to go, I shouldn't have listed as much. Like you're always going to say, I could have listed more.
No. I wish I listed less. No one in Q4 has ever said that.
Yeah, so that's
no one ever.
Now it is true. You might say I should have sourced less, but nobody's saying, you know what, all that stuff I sourced, I probably shouldn't have listed it. Yeah. All right, our next one is getting bookkeeping together. Now, this is one of those things where bookkeeping is very, very few people enjoy it. It's not the ideal job that most people want to take on when they think about, hey, I'm going to work for myself. They're usually thinking of the adventure, the sourcing. Mm-hmm. They're thinking of the stories. They're thinking of packing things up and getting it sent out and the money rolling in. But the reality is one of the most important things you could do. I think about things like sports. I've never gotten into like being a big sports fan, but people, I'm sure that are sports fan, and they know all the numbers. During, this person scored this much, and when they're batting against this type of a pitcher under these conditions, they know the numbers because the numbers are important. Mm-hmm. The coaches, they're paying attention to those things. Every corporation, they're spending a ton of time looking at how are we doing in this quarter of sales? What departments are doing the best? Where are we leaking money? And we need to be treating our business like a business. Or even if we're running like a hobby, I'm sure if you're into sports or some other hobby, you're paying attention to the numbers. And so in your own business, you need to be paying attention to the numbers. And sometimes it's boring to actually compute those numbers. But once you do it, you're doing two things. One, you're saving yourself time and energy because no matter what, you're going to have to figure those numbers out when it comes to tax time. And a lot of times you're busy right there at the end of Q4, at the beginning of the year, you're trying to get things going. You don't want to be stuck spending all of your time on taxes. So if you're slow in the summer, get those numbers down. And it does another thing for you too, is it gives you data where you can actually spend some time reflecting and say, hey, this year, man, I made a killing on vintage clothes. Look at my profit margins here. Oh, these brands did the best for me. But you know where I was losing money? I was really losing money on electronics. The amount of, I don't realize how much I was spending on shipping on these items compared to how much I was bringing in. Once you have those numbers, you can do that reflection. Mm-hmm. So if you're slow, spend that time now, because then that helps you focus and reorient. Okay, what should I be doing in my business to be as profitable as possible?
Agreed. And especially right now, since a lot of your transfers from GoDaddy to QuickBooks, which I already have everything moved over. I'm still trying to figure out QuickBooks, but I'd rather learn about QuickBooks now than try to figure things out in the midst of Q4. So the next one is, I would say you want to be sourcing. I know this sounds weird. We're telling you, go from the lull to doing something. But here's the reason why. There's a lot of people right now in the summer that are just like, things are slow. I'm not going to source, but some of the best sourcing opportunities are when there are less people sourcing, right? Because there's less competition. And especially when you're thinking about Q4, we'll eventually do our getting ready for Q4 episode. Right now you need to be thinking about Q4. You need to be thinking about having a good amount of inventory, whether it be on eBay, whether it be on Amazon. Now's the time. But definitely in the lull, when you don't have a lot of packages that you need to ship out, or you don't have a lot of items to list, it's a good time to source. So, all right, and then organizing inventory.
Yeah, you wanna get that stuff organized. I've been to your house many times, and you're a hardcore reseller, so you've always got stuff, out and about. You're packing, you're listing, you got pictures, so you got stuff. You got a lot of inventory, and when you go and you get a big haul, it's hard to get all that stuff organized right away. Uh-huh. But I tell you what, there was a couple weeks ago, I came to your house and it was the most organized I'd seen anything. And I'll tell you what, when I walked in, I felt the in the air, and I could see it on you too. You were like, hey, check out. I think it was one of the first times you walked me around and showed me some things. Oh, yeah. Have you seen these items? Have you seen? And I don't know if you recognize that, but I think it was because you had a workspace that was much easier to
it was presentable too.
It's presentable, but it's also easier to maneuver in and to recognize where things are. We've all been there. I mean, I just remember distinctly as a kid hating when my parents were like, you're going to clean the room. We're going to clean the house. And it was like an all day process. Maybe I was messier than most people and I hated it. But when I was done and there was a place for everything and everything was in its place, those were the best nights of sleep ever. You know what I mean? You just have less stress. Everything feels better. And we've all been there where you're not organized and you're trying to find an item to pack, or you've got the item, but you're trying to find the right size box, or where's my tape, or I can't find my scale. And those are the worst feelings. But when everything's in its place and everything's easy, it literally is a weight off your shoulders and everything becomes easier. When you're in a clean work environment that's organized, it's efficient. Timing is efficient. You're shaving off. Hey, I spent an hour organizing, but I'm going to shave 5 minutes off every package that I pack from here on out. You're going to get that hour back quickly.
Yeah, and you got to think about how much money you may lose in Q4. I'll never forget 2-3 Q4s ago when things were hot. And I remember that was when we made our Q4 rat video. I remember I was telling you, every hour that we do this video, I'm losing thousands of dollars. And I wasn't kidding, because now I don't regret it. It was awesome. I'm grateful we did it. But I remember that Q4 too. I had to spend 2 hours finding something for eBay, and I lost thousands of dollars that I could have been doing retail arbitrage for Amazon because I wasn't organized. And I remember after that, I said, I'm never doing this again. Every time I list something, it will be put away within 24 hours. And I've stuck to that rule. And so, right now there's a lot of stuff at my place, but it's just, I had, 2 major hauls just before I left for vacation. So I'm still trying to recover from that. But, yes, organization will save you money and it will make you money. And then the last one is, if things are in a lull, just take the time off.
Yeah. Hang loose, man.
No, I got to tell you, there's two, I find that there's 2 times as a reseller, which are the best times to take a vacation. One is July. July is a pretty good month because if you kick things into overdrive May and June, you get a ton of sales. You can kind of coast a little bit through July. And then right after Q4, I would say December 16, 17, 18 until probably January 3rd, sales are going to be slow and not a lot of people are going to be buying. And it's one of the best times. I love it's so dead and I love it because you got all this money that came in through Q4. You're not worrying about making sales, and not a lot of people are buying. And so, my experience is just take that time off, be refreshed, right? Reselling is, to me, it's one of the industries where if you're not careful, you can burn out pretty quick, and you do not want to burn out. So, all right. So hopefully this helped both Mike and I and many of you what to do in the lull, whether it's you want a list to make more sales or just to get ready for Q4 and get your bookkeeping together, source some more inventory, get things organized, and just take that time off. And with that being said, make sure to be real,
be relevant,
and be reselling. Lates.
Peace.